Picayune. My guest this week on Let's Talk is record producer and DJ Manny Fresh. Manny, you are going to be collaborating with symphony orchestras around the country, doing shows with them. Do you wear a tuxedo?
I got to stay true to, their profession as well, so I'm going to do a tuxedo.
With some cool sneakers, though.
Yeah, of course, with some Jordans.
There you go. Those and other secrets from Manny Fresh this week on Let's Talk.
We're local and educational. You're watching WLAE-TV, celebrating 40 years of New Orleans public television.
Inside New Orleans Sports with Eric Asher is underwritten by...
At Villeries Florist, we deliver the magic of flowers 7 days a week to the North Shore and South Shore in the New Orleans area. Whether it's for birthday parties, baby celebrations, Villeries provides colorful floral displays for all. With a store full of fresh-cut flowers, exotic tropical flowers, orchids, roses, and even fruit baskets, our goal is to make your vision a reality. Villeries Florist, proudly serving Louisiana since 1969.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business, 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
C&C Drugs is a family-owned pharmacy that's been serving Southeast Louisiana for over 50 years. Whether you need help taking care of an elderly family member, a growing child, or even a pet, C&C provides patient-centered care for your entire family. C&C Drugs, large enough to serve you, small enough to know you. Locations in Mandeville and Araby.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Inside New Orleans Sports. I'm your host, Eric Asher. Over the next hour, we'll cover all the home teams as we always do. Saints, LSU, Tulane Pelicans, and of course, one of my favorite guests and a guy that does it, that can break it all down for you. He does it on Fox 8. Nobody breaks down film like him. It's Sean Fazende of Fox 8 Sports and the Overtime Podcast. Sean, welcome to the show.
Good to be back. Been a minute.
Yeah, it has been a minute, and we're happy to have you back. And of course, getting into the holiday season. First, I want to say, if you're not watching or listening to the Overtime Podcast, you are missing incredible information on the New Orleans Saints. Andre and Sean do a great job breaking down the Saints. So again, if you really truly are a Saints fan, you got to check out the Overtime Podcast. It's on the Gulf Coast Sports Entertainment Network, plus it's on your favorite podcasting platform. You got to check it out. I'm telling you. If you want to keep up with the Saints, make sure that is appointment podcasting for you. Sean, tell us all about all you're involved in, the podcast, and of course, everything's going on at Fox 8.
All right, yeah, we got a lot going on. It's a busy time of year. We have every night on Fox 8, with the exception of Saturday, we have a specialty show. It comes up at 10:35, depending on if there's a game or something that might push it back. So every Monday, we have the Black and Gold Review. Every Tuesday, we have Overtime. Wednesday, we have Game Plan. Thursday, we have the Final Bet. Friday, we have Fox 8 Football Friday, our prep show. Sunday, most times, tailgate from 10 to 11, and then the final play at 10:30 as well. And you mentioned the Fox 8 Overtime Podcast. We do it every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's interesting to watch that grow because that's really, when you talk to people on the street, there's certain people see me on Fox 8. A lot of people, particularly the younger sports fans, really have connected with the podcast, which was, to see that come to fruition was what I envisioned when I wanted to start it. So it's been, response has been great. The comments aren't always great, but the response has been great. But it's been, so we've enjoyed doing that. It's really grown. So yeah, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it's on the YouTube channel of Gulf Coast Sports Entertainment Network or wherever you get your podcasts. It's
as good of a deep dive as you're going to get on the Saints, again, and the topics you're looking for as well. Overtime Podcast, make sure you check it out. All right, Saints 2-8. Winners, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago to Carolina 17-7. They got Atlanta this weekend. What I want to do is go back because you broke all the film down. Let's talk about Shuck's performance. 19 for 27, 284, 2 touchdowns. He was sacked 2 times for 16 yards, but could have been sacked again many more times, except for his ability to really kind of feel the pocket and move around the pocket. What are your impressions?
I thought it was great. I mean, I really did. And I thought he was okay against the Rams as well. Outside of the first quarter, I thought he was okay against the Rams. But in this game, I mean, you really saw a leap. You really saw a comfort level, and you really saw a guy that, I'd say wise beyond his years, but he is a 26-year-old rookie, and so he kind of flipped that narrative where it was like, oh, he's a rookie, but he's already 26. To where no, he's a rookie, but he's 26. So now it's a positive thing because I really felt like you felt his maturity on the field, the pocket presence, the navigation. I thought that first third down connection, Juwan Johnson really set the tone for the entire day. He had got sacked on the play before, free blitzer at him on that third down. He shakes him up, climbs, looks downfield, finds Juwan Johnson, 52-yard gain. Thought it really set the tone. Thought he was accurate. Thought he worked really that second level well, which is really where I connect or I look for in young quarterbacks is can they really work that intermediate 11 to 20? And is it between the seams? Is it on the outside? He actually did both in this game, but he really lives outside the numbers in that second level. Of course, you saw the big play downfield to Chris Olave. It's funny, when they got the ball back, they tried it again, and had he not gotten hit, he might have connected again on that deep post to Chris Olave. So all in all, a very good performance, a very encouraging performance. And what you saw was we now finally saw what the Saints saw, what they envisioned when they drafted him. And to find that out 2 games in was a positive sign. Now, I will say this. They only scored 17 points. They probably could have scored it again at the end.
They could have.
But 17 points is not going to cut it in most weeks. It was more than enough this week. So let's remember, he's still very much in the evaluation phase. He's going into his 3rd start.
Right.
There is still a growth that he has to hit to. There is still growing that he needs to get. So all that in perspective, I think he did fantastic in that game, but it was just one game.
One of the things you did down in one of your breakdowns on one of the many shows at Fox 8 was you showed the anticipation of him as a passer. And a lot of guys coming out of college, first of all, they don't want to test the second level, and they don't have the anticipation. That was one of the things that really stuck out to me.
And I'll be honest with you, from the short time he's been with the Saints, he has really grown in that regard, which is something that was a little head-scratching for me because you normally don't grow when you're not playing. And he's been very open, and I've never heard a quarterback say this. It was the scout team work that helped him navigate the pocket better, that helped him anticipate better, because when you work the scout team, you're going up usually against the first team defense, so you're at a little bit of a disadvantage, so you're having to make plays, do certain things. The anticipation, the poise under pressure was something that really followed him in Louisville that was not a great aspect of his, but he had kind of made up for it with some wild plays, which he's obviously capable of. So if you can marry that together, the pocket presence plus the wild plays, you're talking about a guy that's got an incredibly high ceiling, and you could think, man, if he can develop some consistency week in and week out, throwing with anticipation, well against pressure, the Saints may have their guy for the next 10 years, which is above all else, Eric. That's what they want.
Right.
They want the guy they can hand the ball to for the next decade. And if you got it with the 40th overall pick, so be it.
You can't chase quarterbacks, and that's the problem. That's what bad teams do. They chase quarterbacks. And again, hopefully this is a guy that they can have for the next 10 years. Pressure packages. What did he see in the first 2 games with again, the Rams in Carolina? Again, we saw him maneuver the pocket very well. We saw him continue to keep his eyes downfield. But again, what type of pressure packages
against the Rams, it was a lot of simulated pressure where they were showing stuff, dropping stuff out on the other side. But when you actually counted it up, it was still only 4 guys coming. Rams, it was a little more. They added a few blitzes in. I see blitzed maybe a little bit more, but it was more of they were trying to come at him from all angles. He just seemed ready for it. I don't know if it was because of the tape that they saw. I don't know if it was just, okay, we got the first game out the way, so now you know what you're looking for when you're studying film from the opponent. But he just felt so much better in that regard. So yeah, he was getting pressure, especially when you consider the offensive line was it wasn't bad, but it wasn't perfect in that game. But that's the NFL. You're going to have imperfect pockets. Drew Brees, the greatest quarterback ever put on black and gold. He had imperfect pockets. You got to know when to navigate, and you can't always be, the protection wasn't perfect on that play. Thus, whatever happens on the play is not your fault. That doesn't work in the NFL.
And also, again, if you remember Brees, and look. anytime I get a veteran quarterback, knowing where you have to go with the football, the pre-snap reads are so important, and it's something obviously a young quarterback has to be able to learn, and then also again let it become second nature for him.
Yeah, I mean that's it, and that's the part. You just need football reps, live football reps to get to, and you got to know how to study film.
Right.
And I think that's where his maturity comes in. He's already married. He's got a baby on the way. He's been through a lot in college, so I think some of the stuff that could get a 22-year-old rookie caught is not going to get a 26-year-old married rookie caught. So what I mean by that is it's just, sometimes now you got to be a grown-up, and it takes some guys sometimes. And for him, though, he's been on it from day one, and I think that's an encouraging sign.
And you mentioned the scout team, and look, again, we talked about the Moore being a genius in terms of offense. That, to me, was a pretty genius move because normally if he was the backup quarterback, he's getting a couple reps at the end of practice. This way, he got continuous reps every single week. Again, he was running the opposing team's offense, but he was going up against the Saints' first team defense, and obviously again that helped his maturation process.
And look, I know there's been a big debate around the NFL. How many reps do backups get in the NFL? Certainly sounds like to me Tyler Shough took advantage of working the scout team stuff, and that was a guy that I was concerned, because I felt like he had narrowed the gap enough out of training camp and preseason to go with. You could say Rattler may have won or Shough may have won. I felt like they were close enough to where you go with the guy you drafted, you go with the guy that had the bigger ceiling or the higher ceiling. And I was concerned when football was taken away from him for 8 weeks, there was going to be a rust shaking off type situation. And I guess you could say that for the first quarter of the Rams game. But other than that, he looks like he's in rhythm. Now, how did he stay in rhythm? And how did he get better while not playing? Well, clearly those scout team reps meant a lot. So kudos to Kellen Moore, because he kept saying he's developing behind the scenes. I'm like, okay, well, that's great to say, but I mean, what is he really doing as is he 2 reps of practice? But no, he was getting a ton of reps as the scout team quarterback.
And there seemed to have been some kind of maybe a deal between his representation and the Saints on, again, how they were going to, again, bring him along, because there wasn't a lot of squawking in the when they were having struggles on the offensive side, and they seemed to be content on, again, how they were bringing him along. And there was an article that was written recently, again, where his agent was asked about it, and his agent was absolutely fine with the way the Saints were handling him before he got into the game against the Rams.
Yeah. That was the initial tweet right when it happened. It was, I trust the plan, or I'm good with the plan, or something. Eric Burkhardt, his agent, I believe that's his agent. So when that happened, I was like, okay, well, clearly there's some kind of discussion going on. There's going to be something that eventually he's going to see the field at some point. Now, we can make an argument, given how much he has grown in a couple weeks, that perhaps they could have pulled that trigger earlier in the season. That's something we'll debate in its entirety once the season ends, especially with the way these next 7 games go, which will tell a lot about where they're at the quarterback position. So, yeah, certainly feels like there was a plan in place, a plan we weren't necessarily privy to, because they're not going to come out and say, we're starting Rattler, but by week 8 we're going to start Tyler Shough. Exactly. So far, I'll just say this. He's ready. He looks ready. And there's going to be moments over the next 7 weeks where he's going to look like a rookie, but for the most part, he looks like a mature player on the football field.
When you look at his performance, and of course now moving forward, what do you anticipate teams are going to try? I mean, again, he's going to start seeing different looks, but also when you look at the offense itself, how much has it changed with him under center? Is it just the fact that he is more willing to maybe go downfield more and take more chances, or is it the same offense that Rattler was running?
No, I think it's a little bit of both. I think they're running some of the same stuff he ran with Rattler. I think Rattler had it drilled in his head. Don't turn it over, don't turn it over, don't turn it over. And it almost felt like to me when he was playing, there was a moment in the game where it was like, okay, I've done enough to keep my job one more week. And once the job description changed to, okay, you can't just live off of, okay, well, I'm not the reason why I'm losing this game, and you needed to make more plays, and he tried to do that. You saw six turnovers in the 6-quarter stretch between Chicago and Tampa Bay. But I'll just say this for Shough. I thought the first quarter of the Rams game, Kellen Moore called the game like he had been calling it the rest of the season, which was a lot of shorter routes. I was getting frustrated watching. It was a lot of 4 receivers within a 10-yard space, a lot of congestion, a lot of guys all running the same route to kind of get to the sticks, a lot of 3rd and 6, you throw a 4-yard out pattern. So I'm watching as the game's going. I'm like, man, you got to get some air in these routes. When I mean air, I mean just space some of these routes out a little bit, because he's got the arm to attack all levels of the field, and I think that's what happened. Now, in saying that, it wasn't like he didn't do that with Rattler, but the way they were attacking the game, attacking the field based off the coverages that they were getting. A perfect example was the Olave touchdown. I don't know if you saw my breakdown.
I did.
Olave's running a double move up the rail, and there's a crosser where a linebacker gets matched up. Actually, it's an outside linebacker, so a pass rusher gets matched up on Devon Vele. It's 3rd and short. That's there. That's probably the higher percentage throw.
Right.
Maybe Rattler makes that throw, and it's a decent throw. You move the chains. You move the chains. But in Chuck's case, he's like, I like the matchup, which that was J.C. Horn. That wasn't any old person.
Right.
He goes, I trust my wide receiver 1. He runs a double move. Perfect ball placement. I know there was some hand fighting downfield. It was close. They finally got one, the Saints did, and then Olave catches it and scores a touchdown. So I think there is a little bit of an aggressive DNA. There is a little bit of attack style mentality. But now, if you're Kellen Moore, you see that and you're trusting it. Get some air in those route concepts.
Yeah.
Now, I'd be very curious to see what happens now without Cooks and without Rashid Shaheed. So you don't have quite the speedsters that you had before. But I do think that's got to be the plan going forward.
That was where I was going next. They've lost their number 2 and 3 wide receivers. Cooks asked for his release and got it yesterday. Worked out a deal again. So again, it's not a huge cap hit for the Saints. Obviously, Shaheed was traded to the Seattle Seahawks. Who steps in now?
Yeah, I mean, Kellen was pretty clear. He said Mason Tipton. When you look at it now, you see an Olave, elite route runner, smooth, still has to get better run after catch, but he's got that skill set. You see a big body in Devon Vele, who I'm still waiting on. I know he's done a couple things here and there, but I'm still waiting on. I think, you take some bodies out that room, it gets a little less crowded, maybe he's the guy. And you got Tipton, who's probably closer to Rashid Shaheed in terms of speed. Brandon Cooks, to me, is probably a 4 at this stage of his career, low end 3. And it just didn't make any sense the way the top 3 receivers all basically looked the exact same. Smaller, faster guys, trying to figure out a way to move the change with these smaller players. So now it's Mason Tipton and Devon Vele. And this is interesting because Kellen Moore runs the 11 personnel as much as anybody in the NFL. The 3 receivers, 1 tight end, 1 back. So how does that change now with your 2 of your opening day starters now gone? You got a couple different guys coming in. Mason Tipton's a guy, he was great in the preseason, great in training camp. We loved him. But when the regular season got here last year and he got on the field, he made very, very, very little impact. So he's got a guy that's got to take the next step as well.
Mrs. Benson did an interview with Jeff Duncan last week. One of the things that was were really stuck out that a lot of the fans got the ire of the fans was the comments about Mickey Loomis. Ridiculous. He's doing a great job. What were your impressions of that interview?
We did a podcast on this on Monday, so you can get my full thoughts there. But I'll just say this. With the way I cover the team and the stuff that when I'm on your show we talk about, and the stuff that Andre and I talk about on our shows at Fox 8, I've steered clear of harsh criticism of Mrs. Benson because of the stuff we discuss. I know she's not making those decisions.
Right.
I know.
100%.
But she is still the team owner. And when I watched or read that article, read the Q&A, I came away completely unsurprised that she stuck with Mickey Loomis. Now, last year at this time when they fired DA, on my podcast I said you need to take a hard look at the guy that hired him.
Right.
At that, it was pretty obvious they were going to stick with Mickey Loomis. So when you cover a team, okay, that story's done, we move on. But I do think one thing she said that stood out to me, that it's take it for what it's worth, but to me it's when she brought up Mickey Loomis and the hiring of Sean Payton in 2006 and the 2006 and 2017 draft classes. To me, this highlights what I think, hopefully they're overcoming this, but what I think has been an issue for the last couple of years is the nostalgia has infected that organization to a point where no one is interested in celebrating 2006 anymore.
Nobody.
No one is interested in celebrating 2009 anymore. No one is interested in celebrating 2017 anymore. And I get it. When we get older, we all get a little more nostalgia. We all miss the good old days, and it doesn't seem like it's that far away, but it has been a long time. It's been a very long time since this team has had success, and I just think there's a little bit of an assumption or a little bit of a blind spot when it comes to, well, don't they understand we've had success? Let me look at 17, look at 2006, and think, whoa. It was a long time ago. In NFL, the generations come quick.
Yes.
So that was my biggest criticism. If you call it harsh criticism, fair criticism, I don't know. That to me, because I had a whole podcast on that at the end of last year. It's like, this is, if you're not careful, you're going to get caught living in the past. And there are times where that comes up within the organization. I thought that illustrated it in that one comment that would be with Jeff Duncan.
I used the example on my radio show this week that anybody that has a family business or are involved in family businesses, it's difficult to fire family. It just is. And that has become more of a familial type situation with the New Orleans Saints. Okay, Mrs. Benson feels like, again, these individuals who were with Tom Benson, again, that have been part of this organization for maybe 3 decades or so, that, again, they have become family. She's watched their kids grow up. Again, probably, again, watching some of their grandkids now. So, again, it's a different situation. And just the way she is, almost like a doting grandmother.
Of course.
Right? I mean, that is. But it is a professional sports team, and winning is the bottom line.
That's it.
And that's the problem right now. You know, again, I mentioned, I went through the stats on the radio show. 28-36 with no playoff appearances before, again, Sean Payton. After Sean Payton, 22-38, and he's on his 4th head coach. Okay, with Allen Rizzi, Kellen Moore.
Sean Payton was 4 head coaches ago.
Right.
4.
Okay, 12 players remain on the roster from Sean Payton's era. 12. Okay, this is Mickey Loomis's drafts. This is his free agent moves. Okay, and they've won 2 games. Now, this looks like a really good draft. It really does, and giving credit where credit is. But again, I mean, it's not baseball where you get if you're hitting 300, you know, you're looking pretty good. Okay, again, you've got to be able to. And in contrast, in 2 years, Sean Payton has turned the Broncos into a playoff contender and possibly a Super Bowl contender.
Well, that's what I mean. You know, somehow the roads always seem to lead back to the Sean Payton connection to New Orleans. And we said on the podcast, you know, he was 4 head coaches ago.
Right.
4 head coaches ago. The 06 draft class, the last player played in 2017. I mean, it's been a long time. And look, to be fair, I am not re-upping my call to move on from Mickey Loomis. They decided to stay with him. They're going to trust him and rebuild.
It'll fall on deaf ears.
It is what it is.
Right.
You just okay. And we all kind of accepted it. Those of us that are around the team every day. Yeah, you know, he's here. It's fine. Whatever. And you know, she trusts him for the rebuild. He's not getting fired.
No.
He's not, and it's not like, oh, if he screws this up, he's getting fired. No, he's not getting fired. They're going to allow him to retire as a Saints general manager. That's just the way it's going to go. So if you're hoping for that, I don't know what to tell you. It's just not going to happen. And if you are hoping that she was going to throw him under the bus in the interview, I'm sorry, that's just delusional. Now, I will say, on the Pelican side of things, they could be a little slow there, but not nearly as slow as they are when it comes to the Saints.
No. And the NBA, again, when you look at the pace of firings of coaches, patience with coaches, it's a whole lot different than the NFL, where there is a little bit of patience in the NFL, but again, there's no patience in the NBA. Atlanta, Kirk Cousins will be starting for them. Your thoughts on the Falcons?
It was a very winnable game. You catch them at a really good time. They're banged up. They won't have Penix. They'll have Cousins. Cousins is a guy I'm not sure how to view him because he's beaten the Saints in the past, and had he been kind of playing a lot, maybe you'd be a little fearful of him. But you know, he's really aged a lot in the last couple of years, or last year and a half since he hasn't been playing. The last 2 times he's been on the field, he just hasn't looked good. Now we'll see. Going against the team, I guess they kind of know, but I think overall it's probably a better matchup with Kirk Cousins. It's probably even better that Kirk Cousins will not have, or probably won't have, Drake London. I guess we'll see.
Right.
At the end of the day, you guys shut down Bijan and Tyler. That's the key right there. They were able to do it a couple of weeks ago against Carolina. Can they do it against the best, maybe the best 1-2 punch running back punch in the NFL? Well, you better, because If they don't, then it could be a long day. So I think that's got to be the ultimate goal in this game.
I get Penix's mobility.
But even that is not, it's not even elite mobility.
Right,
it's
not,
okay.
It's not. I agree. And I just don't need him coming out and doing a Joe Flacco, okay?
Right.
You know, and that's the thing that scares me. Being a veteran quarterback, he's got the pre-snap read. You're not going to fool him. He may not have the mobility. He may not have the same arm strength, but at the same time, he's got it between the ears, and that's the thing that would scare you about.
And these veteran guys, you know, you mentioned Flacco. It's a perfect analogy.
Right.
I mean, like they can catch fire, and
Right.
it can look fantastic, and they've got talent on that team.
They do.
They've got talent on that team at receiver, at running back. I mean, they got an underachieving tight end, but still, I mean, they've got talent on that team. So, yeah, it could connect. So if you're the Saints, you can't all of a sudden, great,
Right.
we got Cousins, not Penix, because Penix I thought underachieved over the last couple of weeks.
And look, they're talking about in Atlanta right now the fact that he's going to be 26, the injuries. If they made a mistake, you know, I mean, it could be the flip thing in New Orleans. You know, remember when Chuck came in, that was one of the things people were worried about, the injury.
Yeah.
Right. And of course, it's been a broken bone. We'll see how it plays out. But again, they're ready to clean house in Atlanta right now.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and that goes for Terry Fontenot as well.
Absolutely.
Again, who obviously the Saints did not want to lose, and a protege of Mickey Loomis. All right, we will take a break here. We come back, we got a lot to talk about. Firing Willie Green with the Pelicans, where the Pelicans are right now. Tulane now, again, in the college football playoff poll at 24. They're set up to be able to be in the college football playoffs and the American Championship with winning. All they got to do is win from now on, and they're in. And then, of course, the situation with LSU and the circus that is the coaching search. We'll all get into all that. You're watching Inside New Orleans Sports. Sean Fazende is our guest. I'm your host, Eric Asher. Stay tuned.
Located at 3701 Iberville Street in Mid-City is Katie's Restaurant and Bar. Open 7 days a week, Katie's offers daily specials for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Serving New Orleans cuisine such as fried shrimp platters, grilled redfish, and a fully stocked bar. And don't forget about our expanded event seating and local entertainment. Featured on the Best of Food Network's diners, drive-ins, and dives, Katie's Restaurant and Bar.
Burkhart's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration has been family-owned and operated since 1989. Burkhart has energy-efficient solutions and offers brands such as Mitsubishi ductless AC units and Amana, the only manufacturer with a lifetime unit replacement warranty. Burkhart's offers maintenance bundle packages that include servicing your AC, generator, and tankless water heater. For more information on the services Burkhart's provides, visit acpromise.com. Burkhart's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration, providing comfort for life.
Welcome back to Inside New Orleans Sports. I'm your host, Eric Asher. Sean Fazende of Fox 8 Sports is our guest. All right, Sean, let's talk LSU. 23-22 winners over Arkansas. They're 6-4, 3-4. And I'd love to be able to talk a lot about the game, but honestly, the big story is what's happening with the coaching search. Sean, this is the first time I had you on this show. I want to go back to the circus that is LSU athletics, from the Brian Kelly firing to the Scott Woodward firing, and then of course now subsequently the suit against LSU for the $54 million buyout that Kelly's trying to get, and then the governor also meddling in this situation up front and then behind the scenes. Your thoughts?
Well, Brian Kelly, you mean?
Just the whole that circus that went down, really from the firing all the way through.
Yeah, I mean, well, first off, the firing was justified. There's no doubt about that.
100%.
The firing was justified. But you made one of the more unlikable people in sports, and Brian Kelly looked like a victim when you talk about they're trying to pull you weren't really fired, you didn't have authority to fire, all that nonsense. The governor get involved, that's politics, him
Right.
just getting a few headlines. Whatever. I do think there was a shred of competency what he was saying when he was talking about the buyout situation with a lot of these contracts, which I think that needs to be a thing of the past. But yet here we are talking about Lane Kiffin, which is going to be another monster contract.
Exactly.
I think that it's been an interesting transition. You know, I should have been happier after the LSU Arkansas win, but they were +3 in the turnover margin. They won by 1 point. Right. Arkansas, and then they're celebrating like they just won a Super Bowl. I'm like, how far away is this program from relevance again? How did they fall off so fast? It was a little shocking to see, and it did not sit well with me. I don't know why. Like I said, I should have been happier. Like I said, I've known Frank a long time, so I'm happy he got his first win. But it just felt like, man, this is where we're at. the worst team in the SEC, you beat them by 1 point because they missed a field goal, and you were able to get a field goal at the end, and or to get the first down at the end, and that's where we're at. But it is what it is. But the real story is obviously what's happening with Lane Kiffin.
Well, and look, I guess in the team's defense for that, it's been a tough year. You lose your coach. Again, the guy, your interim coach comes in, who again everyone on that team loves. And I think it was more about Frank Wilson than it was the win. And just the fact that again they everything they had to go through. Look, who gives a Gatorade bath after beating Arkansas, right? I mean, really. I mean, come on. But at the same time, I get it. And then the emotion of Frank Wilson after the game when he was asked about what the win meant to him. And I got to be honest with you, I started tearing up when he's choking back tears that says everything. Again, and you know him. He is LSU.
Well, he is.
He bleeds LSU.
And honestly,
he loves LSU.
No doubt. And when the next head coach comes here, you'd be foolish not to keep a guy like him on staff.
I got to believe it's going to be a package deal.
He's been a loyal guy, a successful guy, done a lot. So yeah, I mean, I get that, especially for him individually, because look, I mean, he's had his own coaching career, and here he is. Regardless, he's the head coach at LSU for however long, and he got himself a victory as the head coach of LSU. So
I think that's what it was about.
Of course. I just, it was way too close for me.
I can understand. I'm
just like, where are we at right now? Because it wasn't just that game. LSU is the program has become overrated in my opinion. Like just everything, the game day experience. They had shootings at tailgates this year. I mean, like it became a crap show. Let's just put it nicely. So I'm ready for this kind of to pass through and then get the swagger back to LSU.
Right, let's talk about the coaching search because, man, I did a deep dive on Lane Kiffin this week. Again, if you average out all his head coaching jobs, Ole Miss is the longest with 6 years, averaging 2.6 years at a stop. Okay, and that's pros and college. It just feels like this is the leverage bowl right now. It feels like Lane Kiffin and Jimmy Sexton are leveraging Florida against LSU, LSU against Florida. And look, based on what Kiffin has done in the past, remember Tennessee and USC, I don't think that, again, the folks at Ole Miss, I think they got to realize that they're probably not in the mix here.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Let me just say for the record.
Go ahead.
I hate everything about this.
Right.
Like I hate the idea
that
a coach leading his team to a college football playoff is flirting with two other jobs in the same conference, and one of those happens to be my school at LSU. Look, so big picture, zooming out, watching this play out, it is a horrific look for college football to have a coach openly doing this with an agent behind the scenes working the back channels.
Exactly.
And it's just, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Now, I understand LSU's pursuit of Lane Kiffin, but I will also say this, Eric. The obvious name hasn't always been the guy.
True.
The obvious hire hasn't always, like in the second or third choice at times can be Ogeron was not the original choice. Les Miles not the original choice.
Agreed.
Nick Saban was not the original choice. So sometimes the big name to get lost in can be a problem because if you want to be honest, Brian Kelly was a bigger name than all those other coaches I mentioned when LSU hired him, and look what happened. So I don't know that zeroing in on Lane Kiffin is going to deliver everything they think it might deliver. And look, I think LSU needs a little more blue collar back a little bit because I think they lost a little bit of dog. I think they lost a little bit of that Louisiana DNA a little bit. They've gotten soft. Like I said, it kind of feels a little overrated over there right now. So I can understand why you would pursue a guy like Lane Kiffin, but I also, you trust him? I mean, do you trust him? Because it would be exactly in his way to have this whole thing played out, and at the last second, he's either at Ole Miss or Florida, not at LSU. And LSU has put all its cards on the table by saying, I've made it known to everyone that he is their top choice. And I just think you better have a backup plan.
They better, and honestly, he's not my choice. Okay, he's not my, and I know he's the hottest thing out there right now, etc. But his track record shows, And look, I said on the radio show yesterday, they're kind of made for each other. If you're at LSU and you don't win a championship in 4 years, you're out the door.
Yeah.
He's usually out the door in about 3 years, no matter what, looking for the next job. Now, again, is he looking for the next job if he gets the LSU job? Look, I think he's going to look for the next job no matter what job he has.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I remember 2004 when Saban, it was the rumors with Miami were picking up. There was some tension there. But it was after the season had ended, and it was right before the bowl game. I think it was the Capital One bowl game they played, and it was right around, I think it was Christmas Day when there was things had really heated up. And I remember feeling like that LSU fan base was upset about what happened. Could you imagine if he was openly flirting with another team in conference, two of them,
right,
in the midst of a historic season?
Yeah.
So I don't like it, and I don't know that it's going to deliver exactly what they think it's going to deliver. And I just hope you're not in the same situation you just were with Brian Kelly handing out a massive contract with a massive buyout to a guy that could potentially leave you at the altar. Or there's no guarantee of success. I mean, look, he's having the most successful season he's ever had as a head coach right now, and he's got his eye out somewhere else. So I think the whole thing is a crap show.
I would agree. If it's not Lane Kiffin, who do you like?
Summerall. I've always been clear. It's been Summerall for me.
Me too, and I don't understand why.
I think he handles distractions well.
Yes.
I think he's got a very good idea of how to handle this new age of college football, and I think he can now go to a place where he can have a little bit of both. He wouldn't have to lose his entire roster, but he knows how to handle it when you lose a lot of guys. He knows how to work the portal, has a good eye for talent because, look, I mean, year one to year two, I mean, he lost his quarterback, and look what happened. He arguably got better at that position. So I think he's a guy that understands, knows how to navigate. And like I said on your radio show, Eric, I said on our shows, he's done something I've never seen. He's made Tulane cool. He's made Tulane cool. Yeah. I mean, that RMFW was one of the best things I heard a coach say after a game. It was awesome. So he'd be my choice. I know they're talking about Dillingham. Right. I know they're talking about Georgia Tech. Is it Brent Key? Is that his name? Brent Key.
Brent Key, yeah.
If they go I don't know if LSU is a school, is a job where you can do the first-time head coach route.
Yeah.
But if you do that, I know Calvin Shepard's name has been thrown around, or Joe Brady's name thrown around. I'll throw another name out there. There's no connection to LSU whatsoever. It's Brian Hartline. It's the Ohio State offensive coordinator. Gets all those Ohio State receivers to come. They all talk about him. But I don't know. And this is the other issue that I have here is you are all in on this Lane Kiffin basket. And you hear like the names pop up. But, man, if they swing and miss on Kiffin and then plan B, plan C, plan D, that could be a problem.
Right, and that's what you don't want to happen. And, look, there were reports yesterday that and I never believed them, that Summerall was going to go and interview at Florida. Then those reports were I guess, deemed as false. And then in between there, they said that he wasn't going to Florida. He's focused on Tulane right now. He's not focused on anything. I'm talking about Summerall. He's only focused on Tulane and nothing else. Unlike Kiffin, who seems to be, again, even though it's Sexton behind the scenes, he's ready to talk. Even if I talk about it publicly, he seems to be flirting with, again, 3 different schools right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a little bit of the former Saints head coach here in him. He's got a little bit of that in his DNA. They like to poke the bear. They love to be the smartest guy in the room. Probably, not quite as smart as they think they are, but like they are successful. You'll bring a lot of success. The wins will be fantastic if you get them, and there will be drama every step of the way, and the losses will feel catastrophic. It's just the way it goes when you hire somebody like that.
I've talked about December 1st because of the transfer portal, trying to hold on to the 2026 class as a date that you really want to have that head coach in place, but if you are going after a coach who's going to be in the college football playoffs, that's going to be difficult.
Yeah, and that's interesting because it feels like Ole Miss is pushing back a little bit. They're kind of drawing that line in the sand. Like, no, you're not going to get the opportunity to coach us if you leave, or if you say you're leaving after the season. And that leads to the bigger issue, in my opinion, which I said earlier. I hate everything about this. Well, make no mistake about it. Part of the reason why these type of things are even possible is the ridiculous college football calendar.
It is.
Which makes no sense. Why do you need a December signing day?
No, you don't.
Why can't you use December to finish the season, in the season around New Year's, and then do all your recruiting and transfer portal in January? And if the early entries want to come, you'll have enough time to get them in and start that spring semester. Why do they make it like this? It's the only sport that does this, Eric, where there's a 4-week hiatus for most teams, and then Your head coach the entire season may not be the coach you finish with. That happens all the time. Why are they okay with that? And then look, last year the college football playoff, it was 3 rounds, but it took like 6 weeks to finish.
Right.
I mean, we're down in Grand Isle for the Snowmageddon.
Right.
And I'm like, oh wait, yeah, the national championship's on tonight. I mean, that's how long it lasted. It just felt like it lasted forever. Why wouldn't you just compact that a little bit, make it easier on everybody? And 90% of college football's issues or bad optics would be fixed if you fixed the calendar.
And if you're in the national championship game, you're at a disadvantage because you got to turn right around and the transfer portal's opening up.
Oh, you got to. I mean, your game plan in the playoffs. You got to sign your recruiting class.
Exactly. And again, it makes no sense. I would agree with you. Well, I'll tell you what. First of all, you talk about Tulane being cool and what Summerall's done. Tulane controls its own destiny. And look, a lot of people after the Ole Miss loss wrote them off. Again, the Texas San Antonio loss was a horrible loss for them, but obviously the voters did not feel that way. They are 24th in the college football playoff poll. Their strength of schedule, in my opinion, is what put them in that position. They beat Northwestern, they beat Duke. It was a bad loss to Ole Miss, but that turns out to be a good bad loss because of where they are in terms of their ranking. And it looked like the voters didn't even worry about the Texas San Antonio situation. Tulane is the best of the group of 5. They're at Temple. They got Charlotte at home. Every game is a playoff game from this point forward, but these are winnable games in front of them to the American Championship.
Yeah, and they got a boost with the was it South Florida lost?
Yes.
Yeah, so that certainly helped.
Right.
Call me crazy, Eric, but there's a likability to John Summerall that I think kind of sticks with voters. That I think just kind of sticks with committee members, especially when you talk about kind of the similar records, whatever the case may be. Look, I thought the Memphis one was huge. I thought the Florida Atlantic one was obviously huge. And now, if you're at Tulane, you've got the road ahead of you where you keep winning, you get in. So, I mean, what an incredible journey it's been with John Summerall. I mean, it really has. Like I said before, he made Tulane cool. And now, that was not easy to replace Willie Fritz. I mean, and this is a guy who's come right in, and he's done so. So, I mean, the voters clearly like him. The voters or the committee clearly likes what the resume Tulane has put forth. But you gotta finish the job. You have to finish the job for Tulane.
35-24 winners over FAU. They're now 8-2, 5-1. As I mentioned, controlling their own destiny. Temple is a much better team than they were last year. But if Tulane play, and this is the issue, and I've talked about on the radio show. You got to play four quarters. You got to play for. The problem with Tulane is, again, even over the last few weeks, they have not put together a complete 4-quarter game. They allowed teams to get back in. Memphis in that second half, even Florida Atlantic, which is a hard team with that type of offense to control. But they have to put together 4 quarters every single game this point forward, and their goal is met, getting into the college football playoff, and maybe they can make some noise.
Well, and look, if you listen to just what John Summerall says in these press conferences, I think he understands that. I think he gets it. I think he's even been critical of his team for not playing as well as they should have or could have, and how they haven't played a complete game. How right now this is a team that's vulnerable. He's pushing all the right buttons. So yeah, I think, but on the actual football field, that all that has to come together. Now you have a quarterback that I think has really bounced back nicely after a couple of rough outings. That I think. You got the guy like that. I mean, look, kudos to him. He got him late in the process. Yes. I mean, there was talk of TJ Finley starting earlier around springtime. Now it's Jake Retzlaff. So, I think that's certainly something that they have to do if they want to finish the season out right, because it just would not sit well. If you have this favorable schedule to close things out, couple games, AAC championship, what have you, to fall short. Right. But you especially they've already told you there's no guessing. You can have it. It's yours. Right. They've already said you keep winning, you're getting in. And so this is an unbelievable opportunity for them.
Every game a playoff game, but it's got to be 1-0. You got to concentrate on the game in front of you and not look ahead because that's where you'll get bitten. I do want to mention one more thing before we go to the Pelicans about Summerall, because I get it all the time from Tulane fans. Man, y'all trying to push our coach out the door. No, we're not. Okay, I'd love for him to stay at Tulane. And if he's not at Tulane, I'd love for him to be at LSU. But the fact is, he's one of the hottest coaches in college football. And you knew if he was going to be successful in New Orleans at Tulane, other big programs were going to come calling, especially in the SEC. He's obviously a guy got a lot of ties to Auburn, growing up there. His wife's from there. That looks like the odds-on favorite. Again, a lot of us would like to see him at LSU. There are some LSU folks that still hold that grudge of we'll never hire a Tulane coach. But I would say this to Tulane Tulane fans, and I've said it the last couple of weeks, and I'd like you to comment on it. If he moves on, they will find the next great young coach, because this has become an incubator type situation at Tulane for coaches that have the ability to be able to come to Tulane, pick up where the previous coach left off, and then have an opportunity to go to a Power 4 program.
We'll just pause for a second and just look, the Willie Fritz years into the Summerall years. You've had a nice run of success here for Tulane. One coach left, another guy picked up. So don't lose sight of the fact that while you might have hurt feelings if a coach leaves, you have had a run of sustained success that might be the longest run since I've been watching Tulane.
Right.
When you just talk about where they're in a good spot in the NIL space. They're in a good spot in the conference that they're in, and that's not a nothing job if he ends up leaving. That's a coveted position. Yeah, that coach may end up leaving in a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, whatever the case may be. But if he does, that means you had success.
Right.
And it's a whole lot better, in my opinion, to have that as opposed to firing a guy every 2 years or 3 years because you're not successful. So what do you want? And the program has been elevated. So to me, it's a good time to be a Tulane fan right now, even if Summerall leaves.
And that's why I tell Tulane fans all the time. Don't be concerned. If he moves on, there will be the next great young coach that will come to Tulane, because they understand that, yes, Tulane's a stepping stone. They're a stepping stone right now. Maybe one day they won't be, but right now they are. I still believe that they have a chance to get into one of these Power 4 conferences when the expansion comes back again, because the program is on such solid footing, and they have bought into NIL, and they're improving again the facilities. So, at this point, it is what it is. Be happy with what you have had with Willie Fritz and Summerall, and just look to the next great young coach.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation that you're in right now. So, I mean, you're not going to, if an SEC school comes calling with big money, and it's going to happen.
Right. And it's and for Summerall and his family, again, he's got to do what's best for that as well. So it is what it is. It doesn't mean that he doesn't love Tulane. I think Willie Fritz's situation was more of, again, there were a lot of promises were made and promises unkept. I think it's just you knew when he came to Tulane, the type of coach he was coming out of Troy, that if he was successful, he was going to be moving on.
And he's got you in the playoffs. Right. He's got you in so it's not impacting his work on the field.
You're going to drop a banner.
He's in the dang playoffs. Right. He's got you in the playoffs right now.
A banner that maybe you thought you'd never drop again. Well, college football playoffs. Right. So, again, hopefully, one game at a time. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Pelicans. First of all, I did want to talk a little bit about last night before we get into the Willie Green firing. Borrego has come in a really tough spot. Could have went to another team and been an assistant coach making more money. Obviously, again, Joe Dumars and the Pelicans understood that Willie Green was going to be on a short leash, and they needed a quality assistant who had been a head coach to step in. Last night was the first time we saw a Pelican team maybe look a little bit like Borrego wanted them to. They lost 125-118 to the Nuggets. They're 2-13, but they're 0-3 under Borrego. But again, Denver was shorthanded. But I thought we saw progress. I thought we saw, again, that it wasn't the pop San Antonio offense, but we saw the passing, okay? We saw Zion Williamson become a facilitator, not take the ball and just go to the rim off the dribble, but take the ball off the dribble and again, kick out for a better shot, giving up good shots for great shots. Defensively, for the first time this season, we saw at least the effort and energy on the defensive side of the ball. Now, it's one game. Let's not go crazy. They've had one practice. I still believe there needs to be more of a shakeup on this team. There needs to be some trades of some players that have become dead weight on this team. But for one night, last night, even in a losing effort, there was progress.
Yeah, I thought they finished strong. I thought they were competitive in that first half. They dug a little bit of a hole in the third quarter. They were outscored by 10. So I thought they finished the game strong. There was a little bit of a moment there towards the end. Well, we might make a run. I think it was a 10-0 run that they had before. Valanciunas was able to knock down that shot to kind of level it off. They were able to get Jokic out the game with the foul out. But Jokic still did a triple-double, and that was kind of a down night for him. He still looked fantastic, in my opinion.
But he had 9 turnovers.
Yeah, he also had 9 turnovers. Look, they played better. I just feel like we're always in this sort of discussion when it comes to the Pelicans. That's fine. It was a respectable loss. It was a moral victory, whatever you want to call it. that's fine. There was some things that happened in that game that I think are some signs of progress. So it's just this is the reality of a 2-13 team.
Little baby steps right now. Again, for a team that really should have been a play-in tournament team with the talent that they have.
Yeah.
But again, the problem that I have is, and you mentioned it on your shows, I've mentioned it on my shows, the new broom should have swept clean.
Of course.
This should have Willie Green should have never made it into this season. Again, that again comes back to this family type situation with the Pelicans and Mrs. Benson being too close. And look, at the end of the day, Dumars has not done a lot of things right. He's done some things right. He was kind of handicapped by having to bring Willie Green along because the team has tuned him out. Now, my question is going to be, did they tune Willie Green out, or did they tune out Willie Green and the staff? Because if it's the staff and Willie Green, well, just having Borrego step in as the head coach is not going to change things.
Well, you don't really hire from outside for an interim, so you got to do what you have to do.
But you were stuck.
Yeah,
right.
you're kind of stuck. I guess we'll find out with that. But look, they played a little bit better last night. But I hate that that's where we're back to with basketball and its talent again.
Right.
But in regards to Willie Green, that's what we said. Like, why, if you're going to make the big old deal to get rid of David Griffin, a guy that did some okay things, but also he was kind of came across as a salesman type to me, which was fine.
I called him a snake oil salesman.
But then not get rid of the head coach. Why wouldn't you sweep the broom clean and just because you can't tell me Joe Dumars wanted to take this job. Oh, you know what? I'm good with Willie Green. No, he probably wanted his own guy from the get-go. But there's the attachment that you can't break, and then so you got to wait till you get embarrassed and the team tunes you out. And Willie Green is a guy that came on strong because they had a nice little run. He had a nice little viral moment. Well, you got to freaking fight against was it the Clippers in that game? It was that play-in game. And they got to the they did a decent, respectable job in that playoff series that year. But come on, man, this is not Mike Malone is unemployed right now. Who won a championship 2 years ago? I mean, this is not. You don't get credit for moral victories when you're 6 years in or 5 years in. When it comes to Willie Green. So to me, this should have been happened. It should have been happened well before the season started. Now you're in an interim situation. So now you've got a transitional year yet again as a veteran NBA guy, and Joe Dumars tries to figure out what's best for this franchise going forward. So it just feels like it's always in a state of, okay, what are we doing here when it comes to the Pelicans?
Two things. First of all, my opinion, and after again, being around and covering these airline drive for so long, this was right out of the airline drive playbook: deflection. Mrs. Benson has the interview with Jeff Duncan. It doesn't go well on social media. They could have fired Willie Green any time. They had it in the back pocket. Willie Green's fired that next day. All the attention goes from the article to again, Willie Green. The other thing is, you mentioned possible. Kellen Moore gets a mulligan year.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Willie Green and Joe Dumars does not. Okay. And the reason why is you traded potentially 2 lottery picks, okay, for Derek Queen. And I love Derek Queen, and I love the player he may be. But you trade those picks for one player with again the intention of not being in the lottery.
Yeah. Right.
And now by not firing your coach last season, you have stymied the progress of your team, and you're in a situation now where you have to make the play-in. Or there will be a coming to Jesus moment, maybe not within the organization, but around the NBA and with the fan base. Love Queen on the player he is now and the player he can be. But they're talking about this draft class being a draft class that could be as strong as the 2003 draft class with LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, or the 1984 draft with Michael Jordan. Okay, that's what they're talking about with these young players. It was reckless on the part of Dumars and Weaver to trade those picks for Queen. Even though Queen has turned out to be a nice player for them, he's got to be the second coming of Larry Bird and Magic Johnson to make that work.
And I always get a little, how do you, with the perspective with a young player who's doing well stats-wise, but the team is losing? Is it a product of he's just getting unlimited opportunity, or is he really growing as a player? I think it's probably a little bit of both. But I don't know that I agree with that in terms of a Mulligan year, because he's not getting fired after 1 year.
No, he's not.
He's not getting fired after 1 year. So if they don't make the play-in, or if they don't have success this year, I still think Dumars is back next year.
I don't think. Well, look, they didn't do a search. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Again, I'm familiar with this individual. I'm comfortable with this individual. So again, Dumars came in. There was no massive search for Dumars for the heir apparent to Griffin's job. It was Dumars all the way along, and Dumars obviously made his pact with the team in keeping Willie Green. And when it came down to again those draft picks, look, everybody can remember. Again, people forget about the Indiana pick. They had Indiana's lottery pick this year. Okay, they traded that came from Toronto for the Brandon Ingram deal. They traded that back to Indiana to get that first lottery, to get that pick. So they had 2 picks to give to Atlanta, and also that's 4 first-round picks in 2 years that the Pelicans have traded to Atlanta. Remember the Dyson Daniels deal? There were 2 first-round picks that were attached to that as well. So I mean, if Atlanta ends up being an NBA champion, they could tip the hat to New Orleans, because 4 picks in 2 years, 4 first-round picks in 2 years. That you had kind of had in your back pocket, and they're gone now.
Yeah, and look, clearly there was a deep love for Queen inside that organization.
With Weaver, who has known him since he's a kid.
Of course, it's that part of the country.
Right.
Of course.
Right.
And if you go back and look at our shows, when we were talking about who is this Pelican, Queen was always my guy.
Right.
The fact that he's having success, I think he's got a little bit of an old school game / new school game. He's a good passer for a big.
The basketball
he's fearless. He's got that hesitation type game that's a little rare in today's game. I thought he went toe to toe with Jokic last night. So you're talking about a guy that I think can have success.
Me too.
But is that ultimately going to be what's best for the organization long term? I guess only time will tell who that player ends up being with that draft pick that they surrendered.
It seemed to be impatient on their part. Okay, they got fears. Weaver had his eye on.
It's almost like an NFL move you would see. You know what I'm saying? Like to get back in.
Right, get back in. Yeah. Right. But the problem is, look, if the lottery picks are 13, okay, then maybe even in a very, very good draft, you're not as upset. But if those 2 picks are top 5 picks, that's going to be difficult. Borrego, do you think he can turn this around?
I don't know. Maybe it felt like a little bit more of the same. Like you said, it was a little bit of improvement last night, but he's going to have quite a bit of a long, kind of resume here to build. I know he's got some success in other stops as a head coach. Good X's and O's guy. Really like him as an X's and O's guy. I think if you're him and you wanted to find success, you're already in a hole. But to me, can you get up to 500 ball? And I think that is a reasonable goal to probably reach if you're Borrego. And I think that helps his own resume, and I think that stabilizes things within his organization. Because you look at the talent on this roster, you look at some of the players that they have, 500 ball it should have been a bare minimum.
That's 42 games that you win, and that might put you close to the play-in, although in the West that might be tough.
Yeah. But if you're Borrego, I think that's got to be where you live. And I think if you're a Pelicans fan, that's probably got to be where you live.
I still think they're going to have to make some more moves.
Well, that would be great if it means they're okay. We're not sacrificing the season.
They have to. The team does not espouse the things that Dumars put out there that were going to be the bedrock of his team. We don't see that out of those guys, and that has to change. So he has been known as Trader Joe. I'm calling him Trader Joe on my radio show. So he's got to get out there, and he's going to have to upgrade this roster. And the players that don't fit, the players that are not responding or don't respond to this coaching staff, they have to be moved out.
Of course, and look, that could be Zion eventually at some point. I mean, look, I know he played a little bit last night, fine. But he kind of blended in with everybody. He didn't really feel like he was kind of the game changer last night. So.
And look, to me, and I think we're on the same page, that ship has sailed for me. It's like the Willie Green situation. you should have swept the broom out
Just
clean.
go with it, yeah.
Okay.
And hopefully he gets back on the court where you got a little trade value at some point.
No doubt. Sean Fazende, Fox 8 Sports, thanks so much for
Right.
being with us, as always. All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in. So many ways to catch our program now between WLAE-TV, WLAE-TV2, also known as Encore, Pelican Sports Television. Set your DVR, you'll never miss the program. You catch me on the radio 106.7 The Ticket. I'm on weekdays 4 to 6. You can listen live at ericasher.com, 106.7 The Ticket. Also, we have an app, 106.7 The Ticket app, which is available at your app store, iHeartRadio app, TuneIn Radio app. Many ways to catch the program and the station. We are New Orleans' only 24-hour sports station. Also, again, want to thank the underwriters who make our show possible. Please support each and every one of our underwriters. Also, the folks here at WLAE-TV who again produce our program and do a fantastic job doing it. Ron Yeager, Jim Dotson, Alex Chacon, and our director, William Hill. I'm Eric Asher. For Sean Fazende, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week for another edition of Inside New Orleans Sports.
Hey, I'm Keith Spiro from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. My guest this week on Let's Talk is record producer and DJ Manny Fresh. Manny, you are going to be collaborating with symphony orchestras around the country, doing shows with them. Do you wear a tuxedo?
I got to stay true to, their profession as well, so I'm going to do a tuxedo.
With some cool sneakers, though.
Yeah, of course, with some Jordans.
There you go. Those and other secrets from Manny Fresh this week on Let's Talk.
We're local and educational. You're watching WLAE-TV, celebrating 40 years of New Orleans public television.